Hello, welcome to Cerulean Arts Gallery. Tonight we're speaking with Sean Sauer in conjunction with his Cerulean Arts Collective Exhibition, which is on view now through May the 4th. Hello, Sean.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here tonight. Please tell us a bit about yourself and the new show.
Okay. Well, these paintings that you're seeing in this exhibition are a bit of a continuation of a theme of paintings that I've been working on, where they're both landscape based and then also interior spaces. The landscape paintings are mostly done on site and then work some back in the studio. And then there's kind of split. There's some that are done down at the Jersey Shore on the bay, and then others that are done from the Outer Banks in North Carolina. And then the other paintings in the show, as you can see, are done. They're some of them are reflections inside of a local greenhouse out near where I live, while others are of like physical objects that I find in the greenhouse and do paintings of. So they're kind of more intimate spaces where this is a painting of like pink ribbons inside of a plastic bag, or on the right of that is uh, some aluminum foil that they use to wrap the Christmas plants or poinsettias in, and kind of finding these subjects, finding these images, and then making paintings of them. Like this is a corrugated plexiglass where it's looking at a house that's kind of behind the greenhouse. I was just really intrigued by the kind of the sense of design, of the light kind of raking across, and then you're trying to paint something that you're seeing through this space of light, these stripes.
They become very abstract.
Yeah, I mean, and some of them are like this is a plane of glass, and you can kind of see my hand in there. I'll start these paintings from life, and then work them back in the studio. Um, and so that's like there's light coming into this crack in the door, reflecting on a plane of glass. And I just thought, well, this would be interesting to try to make a painting of this and see kind of how that would work. And this painting is dedicated to a painting teacher that I had in undergrad. I found that he passed away recently, unfortunately, and was just thinking about him as I was working on the light in this painting and um, thinking about the things that he talked about in class.
So you spent a lot of time at the greenhouse.
Yeah, yes, I do. I have. I think I've had maybe three shows that have had paintings from there. And so this bigger one in the middle here, Mike, is a painting that I've been working on for, I was just thinking about that as we're looking at paintings over a period of 2 or 3 years. I started this painting at least 2 years ago. And it got more and more specific. Like I would work on it, just before Easter. And that's kind of why I put this in the show. It's in a state of doneness that I felt like I was pretty happy with, and then we'll see. I might go back into it again. That I have these longer paintings that I work on, and then work on those quicker paintings that are to the sides of it. So I really like this that it would be really empty, and I'll work on the certain parts of the painting in preparation of them putting all these flowers and getting ready for Easter. And they do all of the flowers for the Catholic churches in Delaware County. So they do a lot of business, and there's a lot of color in there. And I paint as fast as I can until they kick me out, until I'm in the way. So it's a painting that I work on kind of once a year for a couple of weeks, and then I put it away and work on other things. So
Huh. So how does the experience change when you're painting on site and then you bring things back to the studio? I mean, do you use any references or are you just dealing with the painting itself at that point?
yeah, I mean, I use references. As I said, I have drawings that I do as well, and then I take photographs. And I recently been taking photographs and kind of using them as a reference to go back to the original idea from where the painting started or came from. And I started putting, like there's self-portraits here, putting myself in the painting, and doing this kind of selfie thing. Like you can see like me holding my phone up and including some of that. And I think that it becomes an interesting part of the process for me. Um, like trying to stay true to the idea and then putting things in or taking things out. And it becomes an interesting kind of part of the process of like, what's the real idea about here? Is it about the light? Is it about it being a portrait? Like how recognizable do I want it to be? Like this painting here on the left starts to become more almost like a landscape in a way. And I start kind of pushing it a little bit in that direction. So it kind of gets caught between these two places of it being a representation of something and then, more of an abstract idea of something.
I mean, it's interesting because your colors and values, they imply depth, but then your technique is very direct and it's like stays on the surface. Like your paint is very apparent on the surface. So can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think it just comes from, I mean, like I really like kind of a tactile painting surface. I paint very much wet into wet. I mean, like these paintings happen in one or two painting sessions, maybe 4 or 5 hours. And that I really like to kind of paint the paint into itself. I feel like I'm very much a like kind of wet into wet painter. So there's not a lot of buildup, like, and I think it's kind of funny that the smaller paintings are much faster. Like they just kind of happen, and as I said, like I think it becomes like a search for an idea. I'm looking at these different spaces and then trying it out, and some things work and better than others. Sometimes I abandon things or start something else and move in a different direction. Like this is a landscape painting. This is one of the few landscape paintings in the show that, once again was started from observation and then worked back in the studio. And I think went in a different direction. This is this winter painting that I was out working on, and I started working on it. Became a little bit more about the reflection in the sky and the ground, and then just leaving it alone.
I mean, they're representational, but they're not illusionistic. That
Hmm.
is, they're not like a window. I mean, you're very much aware of the surface quality.
Yeah, I mean, so this, and I think, there's images like this, being in the Jersey Shore and just kind of walking down the street and seeing this view of like people's yards and the house and the one light on and once again, just kind of thinking of this would be a great painting. And I think that the imagery is very common. I like that. Like I really find that appealing. Like it's something that everyone sees. And like why can't that be like a painting? I think that it's very poetic in these sort of very quiet moments. And as I said, like painting at the bay is um there's a water tower and it says, it's like the best sunsets in the world or whatever. It's certainly that they have the most sunsets, on the shore in the sense like every day it's this sort of epic. Uh,
So do you have to jostle for position with other painters out there?
no, there's no one else painting. There's other people, but I think I don't know what that would be like. I like that it's sort of people really kind of give you a pretty wide berth, and um, I like that it's not, as I said, commonly painted, and I think it's really there's a beauty to that.
So what is it about the plein air experience that you like, as opposed to like working strictly from like photographs or drawings like in the studio?
I think there's a I mean, you really it's difficult to get a sense of the place through a photograph. And I mean, for me, it's like being there and it's very kind of intuitive and um, the camera really exaggerates things and in terms of value. And I think also color. It has a really hard time with violet and certain
Uh,
greens and but I really just enjoy being there. I think the painting is a response. It's kind of what happens. It's left over from looking and experiencing that thing, that space. As I said, I don't. There's things that happen. I think when you're looking that you're thinking about um, that's hard to do when you're away from the source. I think you certainly can do it. There's painters that do that really well. I think for me, that part of that process of being there is really is just as good as making the painting, if that makes sense. So this is we went to that my took my family to the Outer Banks and we went there in early August and there was a hurricane that rolled through and we kept trying to go in the ocean. These are paintings of them like trying to swim. It's just the current was just way too dangerous and strong. But it made for some really good paintings and trying to take on this very old bathers kind of idea. And that's what some of these paintings are here, including this one, because Surf Storm.
and your color, I mean, you're not using like a lot of high intensity color. I mean, it's a very like kind of subdued tones.
Yeah, I think just painting what I see there. I like the kind of close tonal relationships and it's trying to push this kind of limited palette and really trying to look at the light. So some of them, when there's sunsets and there's really vivid color, then really trying to go after that. And then some of the stuff it's like really thin, kind of faint distinctions in tone. That's what really attracted to me, the reflections and or that the sky, the light in the sky. But the show looks really great. And Mike, as I said at the opening, I really like how, I mean, it's just so much fun to bring these paintings in. And then you guys always are so intuitive. You pick up on all these connections between the work. And I mean, we didn't talk about any of this, and you put all of these Outer Bank paintings together, and then you just happen to put all the Jersey Shore paintings together. So uh but yeah, it's like painting at night, this moonlight painting. Um just once again I think that's a really I've always found that it was a really challenging thing to do to like have the painting hold together and trying to have the color that makes sense. It's difficult to see, and the same thing here. Just leaving that a little bit more open and trying to create this sort of band of light and have that be the whole painting really be around that the sort of rays of light, strips of light. Yeah, and I think some of those paintings, especially this one, become it's like taking on some subject matter, like having the sun in there or the bathers, or that kind of glowing light, and trying to have it be very sincere and um, it's sincere to the subject matter and not be uh, look too invented and really have it have that feel of that moment as you're looking at it. So,
Right, an authentic experience.
but yeah, thank you.
Well, it's a really great show, Sean. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Um, the show is up through May 4th. We hope people come down to see it, and everything's also available on the website, ceruleanarts.com. So thanks again, Sean, and have a great night.
You too. Thanks, Mike.